Update episode 5. That doesn't only mean we've been at it for more than a month, it also means that ERLs are gearing up towards EU Masters, with 4 ERLs already locking in their playoff bracket and a 5th doing so right now, this evening. The most important tournament of our scene grows closer every day. That's why I suggest you're here every Sunday so you know what teams are still in the running. In the meantime, leave a comment in the comment section down below and let us know what team from your region you would love to see on the EU Masters stage. And as always, it's easier to keep in touch with all the ERLs as long as you're subscribed to the EUniverse. Now let's get right into the video. My name is still Dino and this is Update.
Hey guys, this is Tolkien and I'm very excited to share some Primeleague news with you, just before we enter the final week of our regular season.
Counter quasi so ein bisschen zu Ezreal und jetzt geht's früh schon los. Das W trifft, Kane ist unterwegs, Unforgiven, da sollte man nicht unbedingt rein ohne Vision. Ein bisschen Poke geht immer. Ich habe schon wieder so ein bisschen Musik in meinem Ohr. Je nachdem, wie es ausgespielt wird.
Stärksten Level 1 Champions, aber SK sollte eben aufpassen, wie deep sie gehen wollen. Kane hat auch Flash dabei, das heißt, es ist nicht ganz so schwach, wie man sonst von Igrim gewohnt ist. Sie sind hier komplett gespottet. Der Tod über die Wand ist stark.
Gott, der trifft sogar der Root. Und da ist einiges an Damage, aber Unforgiven muss flashen und hat schon eine Menge Damage bekommen. Ignite ist raus, Brightstalker jetzt hinterher, das ist halt immer noch ein Udyr. Flash von Lilith, das W trifft hier auch wieder, Kane ist oben, es ist wieder Party angesagt.
Of course, the last week was very important in terms of standings. Both of our top teams, Mouse and Big, lost. Big being stopped in the tracks just before they could complete their 9th consecutive win in a row. And Mousebots played a very fun game, definitely my personal recommendation if you want to watch something from the Primeleague. Because Mousebots played a very fun game against SK. It featured lots of individual outplays, team fights, macro decisions, Elder Drakes and even a small base race. So definitely a very cool game which SK was able to win in the end, upsetting Mouse. Just before our final week of regular competition starts, we already had to say goodbye to Atok and ESG, as both of these teams are no longer able to make playoffs. We still have 2 remaining spots left for 4 teams: Penta 1860, einfach esports, Unicorns of Love, a Sexy Edition and Schalke 04 Evolution. And those 4 teams really want to take the 2 remaining spots, but it's gonna be especially difficult for Schalke because they face a really tough schedule. In their final Super Week they have to play Mousebots, Big and SK Gaming Prime, so it's really gonna be a tough task for the LEC Academy team and they're gonna have to show if they can still be at the top like they used to be in the past year. That leaves 4 teams and of course those 4 teams are already qualified for playoffs. SK Gaming Prime, Gamer Legion, Big and Mousebots. And obviously here at Primeleague we only have exciting games really. And we hate boring scripts that draw out those match of the weeks to the last day, so we're gonna bring you the banger of the game, our match of the week, Mousebots versus Big on the very first day on the Super Week, Tuesday 8 o'clock. Make sure to tune in.
Hello everyone, Moonboy here to catch you up on what you missed in the last week of PG Nationals.
Prende un'altra supermarket per prova vuoto. Robin ci prova.
Le chiudono alla barra,
Le chiudono alla barra. Le chiudono, rischia grosso. Resurrezione però che va a cadere per Robin. Potrebbero aspettare al varco.
Sta cercando la furia, sta cercando di trasformarsi.
La furia. Deve farlo, deve trasformarsi. E molte dei suoi oggetti sono ormai caduti. Dambai ci prova. Dambai è sul flank. L'inserimento di Maciano. Buzzo risponde. Ma questa è un'esplosione. Double kill. Dambai. Carne vicina. Quadrupla uccisione. Gli Axolotl ce l'hanno fatta. Gli Axolotl sono ai playoff.
Hey, first of all, if you have missed anything, that means you haven't been listening to me last week and I'm very disappointed in you. But I'll forgive you, because I get it, it's tough trying to keep up with all this League of Legends action. If there's one game you've got to see from last week, it's the tiebreaker game between Axolotl and Romulia Esports. Axolotl was on a 4-game losing streak and had to fight for their lives and for the last playoff spot. The game was a 40-minute super intense back and forth 7 Drakes objective steal multi-kill banger, but in the end it was done by Skyza, who wiped out the opposition, got a quadra kill and walked his team into the enemy base to close out the win. This finally locked our standings going into playoffs. Our schedule is going to shift for the next weeks. We're gonna have Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday League of Legends action best of 5 non-stop extravaganza, and I suggest you don't miss Tuesday's match, Makers vs Cyberground Gaming. It's gonna be fire emoji. That's all from me today. I'll see you next week with our first playoff week recap. See ya!
Hey guys, this is Noah, this is my cat Tequila, and this has been our week in Superliga.
People in front of me, to hit the tower. No, take it. Aster's moving here, so nice. Okay, I'm flying. Ignite. Just peel the first target. First target. Asir, one. I got Kai'Sa. Get him finish.
Okay. Let's go!
Fucking go!
I one-shot everyone!
I put Kai'Sa in their R, okay? Oh my god!
Okay, end it.
I just killed it, please. Oh, I didn't know Flacket can scream so much.
I really hope, I'm sorry, you're not deaf after Flacket screaming, but Mad Lions had reasons to be happy because that victory versus eMonkeys gave them tons of hope in order to reach playoffs, even if they have to make their own Mad Miracle run. But even though Mad Lions was great, my match of the week is for the G2 Arctic versus BCN squad. Koldu was really great, was totally great on Kane. He was denying all the time Widowmaker's Lilia, and this victory makes G2 Arctic solo leading the standings after 6 weeks. Standings that look like the Hunger Games with 4 teams fighting for their own Miracle Runs playoffs, and there are only 2 weeks left and only 3 victories between the second and the last, so anything can happen and you have to watch closely for Dirac records because they are going to be so important in our last weeks. I have to say that highlighting a particular matchup for the upcoming week is starting to be quite difficult because so many options, so many decisive games, so many teams on the tightrope. I don't know what to choose, but I have to choose, and I chose the Vodafone Giants versus UCAM. I particularly think that we need to appreciate how UCAM has evolved during this regular season. Right now, they are a very solid team, and I can totally see them in European Masters competing, but in order to get there, they have to get rid of direct rivals like Giants, a powerhouse that has come down this regular season, but no worries, because they have found the piece they needed in NG, and right now they are delivering. Especially what's the matchup in the top lane of Antonio versus Druidi. Antonio has been competing in Spain for centuries. He especially shines on tanks and always solo kills the other top laner. But Druidi is a fighter abuser, and he has totally calmed the soul of his team. Watch it closely. 2 weeks, 4 games for each team, and everything to be decided. You will really need to be updated next week.
Chaos is a ladder, so Greek legend is too. Hello Agorans of Universe, the most chaotic league is back. I'm the Rock 7, I'm here to guide you through it.
Ένα War Lady εκμεταλλεύεται ακόμη μια φορά το range στο top lane. Όπως έγινε το teleport από τον Bendix στο top lane. Ο War Lady να δούμε τι μπορεί να κάνει παρέτα μήνες και να γίνει με κανάρ. Γίνεται με κανάρ ο War Lady, έχει 2 Τζότος. Ο War Lady κολλάει 2 άτομα στον τοίχο, γίνει και Dragon ο Dominant, ο οποίος θα κάνει το ένα ακόμα ένα flame πάνω στον Bendix. Ο Dominant στην εξαιρετικά, ο Bendix πολύ ωραία κάνει τις εγγύες και περνάει πολύ damage πάνω στον Dominant. Εδώ στο Panolito έχει πιαστεί ο Loki από την ομάδα WGL Gaming και θα πέσει τον Panolito. Και όλοι οι WGL Gaming κατευθύνονται προς το top lane. Ο Dominant αρκετά low και θα πέσει το τελευταίο minion, γίνεται εκεί πέρα στο top lane. Και θα το πάρει ο Bendix. Πέφτει και ο War Lady, ο Bendix με ακόμα ένα overload. Σκοτώνει την ομάδα της ανόδοσης.
WL Gaming Refuse was a most interesting match this week. What a chaotic game actually. A mid-game team comp versus a late-game team comp. This game had a lot of ups and downs. Both teams played really well, and you should definitely check out who won. Let's check our standings. These are the final standings. GameSpace and WL Gaming go straight to the semifinals. On the other side, Unorthodox Team Phantasma and Refuse Zeroleg will face each other at the quarterfinals. Moving into playoffs, teams are up against each other in a best-of-5 gauntlet format. GameSpace Bendena College achieved first place in the regular season, and with that come the advantage of choosing their opponent during semi-finals. Jumping into the quarterfinals, we got 4 teams. First pair is Unorthodox versus Team Phantasma. Teams that were the finalists of the previous split have to face each other so early in the playoffs. Refuse versus Zerolag in the second game of the quarterfinals. If you ever watch a Greek Legends League game, you know for sure that this best-of-5 will be chaotic. Looking forward to the next week, you should definitely watch a playoff game Unorthodox versus Team Phantasma. Both teams were the finalists of the last split, and now they are up against each other at the first game of the playoffs. Team Phantasma was a revenge, and Unorthodox wants another victory against them. So let's see who's gonna win. It's all about finding the calm in the chaos. That's for me. See you next week, guys. Agorans out.
Hi guys, Zeltic here once again. Let's get into the French League.
Out, on se repositionne. Alors sur le côté, le 25e duel, est-ce que Bando cette fois-ci va pouvoir... Non, ce sera un non. Par contre, on va essayer de trouver peut-être un deuxième stun, l'arc bouclier, la téléportation et Bando qui va perdre son 3e duel. Bon bon bah...
Qui a dit que ça passait jamais? En tout cas, pas nous!
This week in the LFL, the bottom of the standing showed great improvement, especially MCS as they take down Easy Dream and LDLCOL for their first 2-0 week. Solari continues their unstoppable and slow and are now on a 4 games win streak, menacing to take a spot in the playoff race. On the other hand, Easy Dream and Gamers Origin are now in a worrying trend and will need to show up in the remaining weeks. For this week game to watch, I suggest you Vitality B versus Team BDS, as both teams are playoff contenders. The Bees manages to challenge the Swiss Org after a rough early game and a great carry performance. With only 2 weeks remaining, every team is still in the playoff race. The 2 new orgs of the LFL split the throne once again, but the competition is fierce right behind with Game World, Misfit Premier and Vitality B in the rearview mirror. Solari went from 1-5 to 7-6 and are now alone at the 6th place, just outside of playoff qualification for the moment. This week could really be decisive for 2 teams especially. Misfit Premier and Game World will face off in the day 2 after both facing direct opponents in the day 1. If one of those teams can secure a 2-0 week, they will almost clutch a good seeding into the playoffs. Week 7 is opponent and is the last moment to adjust before the Super Week 8, where the 10th will give them maximum to reach that mighty top 5. Be sure to catch it live, or just wait to see me next Sunday on the EUpdate. I'll see you there.
Hello everyone, I'm Carmen. I'm here reporting for Baltic Masters, and we're going to playoffs.
About now, and they've got the tools, they've got the poke in order to try and siege this one down. It will go very, very low, very, very quickly. Engage comes into Warriors onto 4 members. Alex needs to be very, very careful as he moves onto the side. They're going to put the unit to sleep as damage comes through. No one's died just yet, but on the side, Yoft is trying to change that, getting on top of Arnax, but the jump through. Godbro picks up the first kill of the fight as Yoft has to back away, and the turn is huge. Warriors goes low, but Pulse won't be able to pick up the kill just yet. Godbro goes into a statue, but will be taken out on the side.
So last week was crazy. It was full of action, and every single team had a chance to make it to the next stage, but not all of them could do it. We had to say goodbye to Team Infamous and Medieval Riga, but 4 other teams remained with us. By the way, one of those games was Iron Wolves vs Ghostkiller, and I definitely recommend you to watch it again. It was full of action, and champions almost got defeated. Almost. In any case, how did the teams place going into playoffs? Well, first place went to Ghostkiller, but second place going to Pig Esports, and third place being disputed in a tiebreaker between Method to Madness and Iron Wolves, who ended in that order. Now, I'm sure you know that we are going to playoffs and you want to know what it is all about. Well, playoffs will be divided in 2 weeks. Next week, 2 semi-finals, 2 best of 5s, one on Thursday, one on Thursday. On Thursday, we will see Ghostkiller take on Iron Wolves. So, will they be able to make it? Can they prove the value in the best of 5? We'll see. On the other hand, Thursday, we have Method to Madness facing Pig Esports, and this will be the game of the week, as the stakes are really high, and with the roster changes, we don't know what to expect anymore. So that's about it for this week. Thank you very much, good luck, and see you next week. Bye!
Hello and welcome everybody, I am still Wong, and yes, my hair is still uncut. Next week I'm gonna be a new man, but I will be bringing you the Dutch Leagues events from past week.
Ook zit in deze push. Krijgt daar rustig een 3-man taunt af. Terwijl hij niet eens een vision had daar. Jutta die gaat golden, maar het is echter alleen uitstel van executie. Seal gepopte Unbreakable wil. Maar dit is de global pressure van PSV. Opeens staat er 4 man in je gezicht. Sumi krijgt daar wel een mooi 3-man stunnen en een 3-man knock-up. Goeie turnaround van de Lowland Lines. Triple kill voor Damien. Sumi en Damien proberen het hier samen te doen. Waarschijnlijk nog even naar voren. De banners worden teruggekald. Sumi moet hier oppassen. Maar hij kan nog zoveel damage doen. Double kill ook voor hem. Maar Lowland Lions.
Match 1. We saw the Lowland Lions take on PSV esports in our El Clasico match of the week. These 2 teams have competed at every regional final against each other, but we're now fighting to stay alive to even get a spot in playoffs. With a clean early game from PSV's jungler Albatreber and strong laning phase from Barrage and Anthrax, they had an easy time roaming over the map and starving out the Lowland Lions, taking up the W against them. That means that in our last match, everything was at stake for Ekkozulu as they could lock in the last spot, denying it from the Lowland Lions. And that would be a historical thing to do, as it has not been done before since 2018. With extreme focus, the players from Ekkozulu approached this match very good, as they punished every mistake Team Trill made. Team Ekkozulu win the game and they earned themselves a spot in the playoffs. And then our current standings here in the Dutch League for Spring Split 2021. In first place we have Dynasty, then second place tied between MCon Rotterdam and PSV Esports. Next up, fourth place will be for Echo Zulu. Those 4 teams are locked for playoffs, and then we have the bottom 2 of 5th place Lowland Lions and Team Trail on the 6th place, still looking for their first W. So next week we have all teams fighting it out for seeding for our playoffs. The match to watch will be MCon Esports versus PSV. Both tied for a record of 6-3. Only one of these teams can go to the Juggernaut match, in which they can get a big advantage for playoffs. See you guys there.
No. Aha, update intro options. Let's see. Make fun of your hair. Let's just not do that. Highlight your cat. I don't even own a cat. All I did was, I was so excited to start this segment that I cut myself shaving. Let's get right into that razor-sharp Belgian League action.
Wat ga je doen? Je hebt de helpbar slow genoeg kunnen krijgen. Je resets moeten geforceerd worden. Kijken voor de engage. En sector 1 moet hier hier komt de engage. Opnieuw de ultimate van Zurgel. 20 2 mensen. Miphils in de backline. Dit meteen ook de autotext. Met de Caddy Rain. Die zit in de cataclysm. Maar Static overleeft nog. Voorzeker aan het tanken. Miphils, laatste autotech. Wordt gevonden door Dommy. Double kill door Dommy. Phoenix, de healing.
Marrow is geen mana meer.
Zurgel kan zelf nog met 10% damage. Mensen gaan killen. Triple kill voor Dommy.
We went into last week with 4 teams, 7 AM, Genk, 4 Elements and Sector 1 battling it out for 2 playoff spots. After the first 2 games, the teams we expected to the most, both Sector 1 and 4 Elements, locked in those spots. And then it felt like the importance of the game day was already past us. Boy, were we wrong. Both newly confirmed playoff teams battled it out against the top 2, and those games were such close back and forths, way closer than any scoreboard or standings can ever show you. In the end, if I were to recommend you one game, I would suggest to go back and watch Iron Squad versus Sector 1. Sector 1's Zurgot is putting down one monster performance after the other, yet with his immaculate Gnar split push gameplay, he couldn't secure the win for his team, as Marrow Ooze out DPS'd everyone on his Syndra, whilst Dommy and Fliff showed how hard it is to navigate teamfights against a Jarvan and Samira. Now that the dust has finally settled on the Belgian League, the standings are pretty much set in stone, with KVM continuing their undefeated run in first place, followed by Iron Squad in second, and then Sector 1 and 4 Elements, as said, grabbing the last 2 playoff spots. You might think that the next week of gameplay in the Belgian League is nothing more than a formality, and you would be wrong, because first up we have 7 AM defending their honor and trying to find the first win ever against Genk. Then we go into a preview of playoffs with both Sector 1 and 4 Elements duking it out across the rift, but the match that takes the cake, the match of the week, is KVM versus Iron Squad. It's a bona fide battle for first place. The winner takes it all. They become the first seed in our league. They become the team to beat in Belgium. I don't want to miss out on it, neither should you. I'll see you there Monday at 9 o'clock, or how Moonboy would say it, see ya!
Hey amazing people of EUniverse, my name is Morche and I'm here once again to bring you an update to what's happening in Hitpoint Masters.
Ten drak, pěkný hook na Major Dho.
Tohle by mohlo fungovat. Major D zapíná Quickness, defensivní ultimátka, která mu pomáhá přes Battle Dance a přes Grand Entrance do bezpečí. Omonale skáče dopředu, šílí na Šapo, to je dvojice killů a mrtvej je Mazur. Sice je tam Galio, který sbírá double kill, ale oni bojují dál. Jacob s pár životama, Omor s pár životama i Syn. Všichni se snaží dostat do bezpečí, ale tady je Emperor a tady končí veškerá legrace. Killing spree pro něj, double kill, jde pro Procoka a tohle ING, pokud nefinishnou, tak bude přinejmenším ta soula.
Last week we did not really have any big surprises. All the teams we expected to win had succeeded, and our playoff teams as of now are locked, so we know our 6 teams that will be fighting for the top spots and for EU Masters. Our match to rewatch is definitely Viking Ekrik versus Inside Games, where Viking Ekrik put up a pretty solid fight, but Inside Games, they had a crazy game, crazy team composition, with Riven and top lane and Kled in the mid lane. You have to rewatch this match because it was something. The standings didn't change much from last time. Inside Games are still first, looking to secure that spot. Right behind them are Suba and Sinners, tied for second. They can still get second place, and also they can fight for first and tiebreaker with Inside Games, so watch out for that. Match of the week is definitely Esuba versus Sinners. This match is happening today during our Super Sunday. It is the two biggest names, also a rematch of the summer finals, so definitely watch these two battle it out on the Rift. Next week we are going into playoffs. 4th and 7th of March will be our first playoff days, and definitely watch on Sunday because there will be 2 best of 5 duels. That's it for Hitpoint Masters. See you next week and cheers from Czechia and Slovakia.
Today, the one with the mess here is me, Glisha, here to walk you through the last week of EPL.
Apsolutno nisi siguran da su pripremni Morgani i sada Zeonde može biti u problemu da Omu pokušava da radi damage-a. Na Omu koji nema flash. Pazi, Unlucky nije siguran da li treba da uleti i na kraju to i radi.
Da, vraća se Unlucky ovdje na Jopa da proba da pokupi kill. Diva je tu naravno da nađe scatter za Vika, ovo je first blood za ekipu Crazy, a Skarner nalazi kill, Omulfi može biti u problemu, ali Omulfi nalazi ovdje double, Paladin dobija taj reset na dashu i nastavlja da juri ovdje, neće na kraju uspjeti da stigne do Pike koji ga je pogodio sada bindingom, ali zato Unlucky konektuje novi knock-up na tom Alistaru i Crazy uzima 3 killa u čas.
Crvena zvezda finally secured their first victory on the scoreboard after not a long game, finally having priority in the solo lane. Signed, so their jungler managed to get some solo kills in the jungle as Nidalee in the early game and managed to snowball the match. X25, Split Raiders and of course Nexus are brawling for that 4th place, wanting to go into playoffs. Nexus is looking stronger every week, while Split Raiders and X25 have a lot of downs lately. They need to get serious and consistent unless they want to lose their playoff spot. Zero Tenacity with their latest gameplay are showing some weaknesses that can be exploited, which Shrim's Sap-Up showed us in their first place decider against Zero Tenacity, crushing them in a really quick manner. Split Raiders really need to show us their teeth in the match of the week against Zero Tenacity, or they might lose the playoff spot, so stay tuned.
Hello my lovely League fans, I am the fake one and this is Ultraliga time.
Sytuacja i teraz zobacz, 2 zabójstwa, masz miejsce przy smoku.
Okej, to będzie ciekawie. Niektórzy mają popalone flasze. Pyrka! Oj, się zagubił. Ten Zeniblade nikogo nie trafia.
Ale jest potężny!
Ulewa Quaven! Stopiona pompa team! A Gorox się wbija i po prostu dobijają tych, którzy próbują uciec. To będzie kompletny ace ze strony...
Week 6 of the league has confirmed most of the previous assumptions and we know almost all of the playoff contestants. Looking back at the games, this week was pretty quiet, with most of the matches being won by the favorites. The one really important game though was Devils 1 vs Kick, as it seems like the teams will meet in the first best of 5 in the playoffs. The game between the teams was super exciting, with some massive plays from Diago and Krauser completely destroying every teamfight with the Jarvan Victor combo. In the end, it was the underdog that came out on top, as Devils 1 punished Kick mistakes and secured the win for themselves. If we treat the game as an indicator of what the possible series between Kick and Devils 1 will look like, Ultraliga playoffs will surely start with a banger. Looking at the standings, the most important thing that comes to mind is the fight for playoffs. 4 teams have already booked their ticket to the next stage and 2 are already out of the game. It's only up to Devils 1 and Team SK Gaming to battle out for the last playoff spot. To be fair though, the chances of SK qualifying are very slim, as they would have to beat both Pompa and Devils 1 while also counting on Devils 1 not to win a single match in week 7. Comparing the current form of both teams, it definitely seems like Devils 1 will close out the playoff list. Next week is gonna be the last one of the regular splits, and a very important one for the playoff seedings, as Rogue, Illuminar and Pompa still fight each other to get the best spot. The point difference between the teams is marginal and anything could still happen. That's why I would recommend to all of you the upcoming Illuminar vs Rogue match, due to the fact that if Illuminar win it could trigger a tiebreaker between the 2 teams for the first spot. It's also a very hyped matchup, as both teams have looked really good lately, and considering it's the last week, most of the games will tell us a lot about teams' form. In the end, considering it's the last week, most of the games will tell us a lot about teams' current form, so go and give Ultraliga a watch this Tuesday and Wednesday. That's it from me for now, dziękuję za oglądanie and see you guys next week.
Hello, I'm Anifar and I'm back to give you the best Portugal has to offer. Absolutamente nada. Entretanto, obrigado Vitalis, sai o Cloud Drake para os White Dragons e a solo a ser disputada vai ser Mountain. Fark falha o ult.
Faz muito bem aziado aqui o Flash, mas terá que 3 homens em cima do L suficiente. Ele vai tentando aguentar o Blink, vai ser apanhado. Não matam. Fark não leva com a agro e é isso o suficiente. Ele não tem mana e repara, já se pararam. Chase fica com o cavalo, é um gato contra cavalo. E do outro lado é o Imperador, que é o pássaro. Então, contra este calhau, o Fark eventualmente vai cair. E isto não podia ter corrido pior para os offsets.
This week, the first playoff spots are coming into place, as White Dragons are isolated in the lead and the bottom 2 teams are completely out of contention. When it comes to the games that we saw last week, White Dragons once again reigned supreme with a 2-0 week, but the most exciting game to watch would be EGN versus Karma, where Karma Clan got their first win of the split. When it comes to the standings, we have White Dragons isolated in first place at 10-0. In second place, once again, we have a 3-way tie between 3 teams, Boa Vista, EGN, and GTZ Bulls, even though Boa Vista have changed their jungler. And then close behind, we have at 5-5 Offset for the win, while E5 and Karma Clan are completely out of playoffs contention. When it comes to next week, there's a lot at stake. These 3 teams that are currently tied are going to do everything in their power to not let Offset and For the Win reach their heels. So the most important match would be probably For the Win versus GTZ, where For the Win have been in an upward spiral for the last few weeks, while GTZ have kind of struggled to find their footing and are no longer isolated in second place. Until then, my name is Anifar, and the LPLOL will go back to your screens in Monday and Tuesday. See you then.
Hello, you lovely bunch of people, it's me, Goldberg. It's time to take a look at the NLC, so let's get to it.
Sleep. Teleports are coming in. Michigan, remember, has no GA. Trying to put the damage into Silk, but Galvan actually able to find himself one. The Curtain Call is going to be unimpeded, and Chaos slides in onto MTS. The 4th shot is there from Michigan, and now Zombie Shield and Zahira not going to be close enough, so he has to flash, but he can't find it. Michigan gets the double kill, and Granite find the win in the team fight over Godsend.
The last week before playoffs in the NLC was dedicated to tiebreakers. We had Singularity fare up against Barrage, playing for seeding with Barrage actually winning out. Tricked went up against Nordvin and secured 2nd in their group through tiebreakers. And Granite Gaming versus Godsend was fighting for playoff spot and just a 5th spot that doesn't really mean anything. Granite Gaming inevitably took the game through some clutch team fighting, once again something we have come to love Granite for. And the last game we had in the NLC was Dusty versus M&M, fighting for the 11th and 12th spot, heading into relegations, where they will have to fight the winners of Telia Masters, the national leagues of Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and the UK. So let's dive into the NLC format, shall we? We have double elimination, which means that we have a lower and an upper bracket. Teams in the upper bracket can afford to lose, while teams in the lower bracket, if you lose, then you are out. We are playing best of 5s in the finals, but all other matches are best of 3. So let's talk playoffs in the NLC. I kind of want to quickly give you a recap of who these teams are, so you kind of know who they are before you go watching the games in the playoffs, which you obviously will be, right? Right? Yes. Alright, so the first matchup in playoffs is going to be between Barrage and BTXL. BTXL, obviously, with a world-class top laner in a Rome leading the charge, but pay attention to some of the new names on the roster. Bakun in the jungle and Advian on support has been a key part to the success of this roster. On the other half of the matchup, we do have Barrage, and Barrage has kind of been the underdog in playoffs, or they are the kind of underdogs in playoffs. They have looked the best as a non-academy team towards the end of the split, and pay attention to their bot laners, Seth and Kevo. Seth utilizes great roamings to influence the map and have an influence on the impact on the other half. And Kevo had some great monster carry performances on the AD carry, so definitely a matchup to look forward to between the 2 bot laners on these 2 teams. Heading over to the second match of the upper bracket, it is Fnatic Rising versus Trick. Fnatic Rising, a team with a world-class mid laner everyone should know at this point, Feathervin. But a team is not just a team without a single player. Luckily, their jungle support duo of Rox and Maxi make sure Feppy is never alone with great roaming around the map. As I said, they will be going up against Tricked, who seem to have hit a bit of a slump before playoffs. At their peak, known for their strong laners, Paulson and Nilla to get pressure on the map to play for their star AD carry, Archu. The top lane matchup between Pride and Nilla will definitely be something to look forward to, as both laners this split have not really defaulted to tanks. Heading down to the lower bracket, let's take a look onto Nordvin. It's the only team to take a game of BTXL, but at the same time lose to lower ranked teams. If anything, these teams lack consistency. One player they can always rely on though is their AD carry Chrisberg, having some of the best stats in the league for his role. They'll be going up against Cova, a team that was promoted to the NLC from the Telia Masters. A team with a slow start, not many expectations, but suddenly something clicked in this team, and they started taking games from almost everyone else, almost taking a game from Fnatic as well. This team is driven by their jungle support of Outlandish and Tiara. Keep an eye out for the map rotations this game, as the small skirmishes that may around Tiara can be crucial to the outcome of the game. So let's take a look onto our last matchup in the lower bracket. It is going to be Singularity versus Granite Gaming. Singularity was definitely a team that came into the split with a great start. Through great play around their UK bot lane, Prosper and Draktar, they were able to net every objective and stay on top of rotations, but going later into the split, they started to look more uncoordinated, which have now placed them in the lower bracket. As I said, they are going up against Granite Gaming, also a team promoted from Telia Masters, quickly became a fan favorite roster. With 4 rookies surrounding their top laner, there wasn't a whole lot of expectations for this roster. The 2-trick mid laner, Sahira, with his Ryze and Victor, started to take down almost every team they faced. But ever since teams started banning out Sahira and his champion pool, they have had some problems. Luckily, they seem to be on the upswing again, without the champs, but they're never convincingly taking these victories. This game is going to be about the team fights, as Granite has always had a way to stall out the games for their perfect fights. And with that, I hope you are updated on the NLC playoffs. There's a lot to look at, and I hope I'll see you in the chat, spamming whatever freaking emote you want to spam. So I'll see you there. Okay. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk a playoff. Oh, helvede, man. You know what? I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna send you a second recording actually. For playoffs. Yes. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk a playoff. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk a playoff. I don't care. Listen. I had to go. I have to go to work now. So like, this is why I'm so fucking. Goodbye. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk a playoff. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk a playoff. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk a playoff. Let's talk playoffs. Let's talk a playoff.